Yes, it's been an amazing week to say the least. One, because the whole world is talking about violence, and we're talking about people, one being a celebrity and one being an outsider, and trying to decide how you feel about violence and how you feel about racism. It's not just about racism. This is also about racism. And so now the world, it's talking, unfortunately, about neither topic which is beneficial or helpful.
So what were you sharing today in terms of your experiences with all of that?
Well, I was married also to a very high-profile individual who I think, like Mel Gibson, has alcohol orders, who has bipolar issues, and does not deal well under stress. And under those conditions, they begin to threaten and antagonize, and they live a very volatile lifestyle. But the good news for me is that I've come out of it, and I've been able to establish a website, familiesaffected.org, to help other people in a lot of different situations, but you're affected by what's going on in your household or how the media is covering your life. So as an inspirational speaker and as one who has established this website, my goal now is really to just help other people, not just women, but other people who are dealing with domestic violence, who are dealing with being in the limelight. And so that's my focus now.
When you were in the limelight, was it what you expected?
It's never what you expect, because you're really busy trying to have a life and raise my children. So you cannot prepare yourself for that. But the bigger issue is when the light's on you, now figure out how you can turn it and put it on something else that's going to be helpful. So that's the transition that I was able to make, and I'm trying to empower other people, saying, you know what, we can't stop the information age, we can't stop the media, but if you're in hell, figure out how to get out of hell, first and foremost, and secondly, how to turn this around so it can be helpful to someone else.
Do you think Mel Gibson's girlfriend handled the situation properly?
I think we don't know how she's handled it. I do think that recording him was the best thing she could have done. It was the best way for her to prepare herself for a battle that she's getting ready to be a part of. So yes, I do think she did the right thing.
It's funny because at this point, someone, I guess, said before, he was like, Mel Gibson's offended everyone at this point. Like, who else does he have to offend?
Right. I mean, he has, within a couple of minutes, said horrible things about absolutely everyone except his children and his wife. That it's funny, he still calls her his wife. But yes, he's just a very dark person. I think at some point his soul is lost right now. And who am I to say if he can recover? I mean, we're a forgiving nation, forgiving country, and he's going to do what everyone does. He's going to say he's sorry, he's going to go to rehab, and then he's going to make another movie. That's what's going to happen.
And we'll see how the public reacts to that this time around, of course.
This time around. But it's about contrition. And he's an actor, so if he can sell it, we're going to buy it.
All right, so people that are in the situation, that are dealing with domestic violence, what are the steps that they can take?
The first and the hardest step is to love yourself more than you love that person. That's the hardest thing to do, to say, I'm going to value myself, or I'm going to put my children and our survival first. And once you do that, it actually gets easier, because you shift your focus. And once you shift your focus on you and your children and pretty much leave that to the side, then you start living differently. You wake up in the morning and you don't worry about his chaos. You worry about how you can put one step in front of the other. So that is the first big step. The next thing is to find out things that make you happy. You know, things that bring you joy. Don't rely on this abusive person to satisfy you in any way. You know, it's about tapping into yourself. And that might sound, very new age, but it's true.
Yeah, and it all comes from within.
Yeah, and you've got to be able to tap into that. You've got to find that quiet place in the chaos of your life. Find that quiet place. And once you find that, you'll find out there's a person who wants to come out and who wants to live and who wants to thrive outside of the beast who's the violent one.
All right. We have a question right now.
Yes. One of our viewers asks, is substance abuse almost always a factor in domestic violence issues?
I've done a lot of reading in this area, and the statistics are staggering. But I can say in my relationship, substance abuse, without question, had an effect on his ability to hide his volatile personality. So substance abuse, whether it's alcohol or medication or pills or drugs, I think it most likely has an effect on the relationship.
I also have a question. We were talking about once you find that happiness within, how do you make that separation finally? Because you could feel good and, start creating that separation between your relationships together and yourself as an individual, then really, separating yourselves to maybe start your own life. That's a big step to take for people in a situation like that.
Well, it's funny you ask, and I appreciate it. I'm in the midst of writing my book called Back from Hell. And the first part of my book deals with my journey to hell, what it was like, all of these experiences. But the second half of the book is actually a self-help. How do you separate? And once you have made the decision to separate, you have to physically separate. You got to put the SOB out of the house. You've got to make a physical separation. Otherwise, they are so manipulative that they will convince you it's your fault and you will go back. So you have to separate internally, then you have to separate physically. They're your first two key issues. And then I outline a lot of other things that you can do, and you can exercises you can do to make yourself feel good about life. And that's what's important. That's how you come through.
I'm looking forward to that book.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for sharing your experience and your story here on Backstage Live. Where can people find you online again? What's the site?
It's www.familiesaffected.org. And if they want to reach out to me, I'm very good with this. They just email me at Tanya@familiesaffected.org. Tell me what's going on. I will email back, converse. I'm here to help people come through this type of chaos.
That's so nice. It's so nice to meet people with that sort of positivity. All right. Thank you so much, Tanya.